Aishwarya Rai entered the world's attention through her personal beauty. And yet, even in her early 20s, she did not speak of it as something fixed. She understood beauty as something transient, something that could be seen but not held on to. She spoke of beauty as something that was God's gift to her. She spoke of it as something that were only her externals, that was given to her by circumstances that she did not construct by herself, and that something that could be gone at some point of time. It was not something permanent in her mind. So her beauty was present, but it was never the foundation of how she understood herself. There was always a distance in how she spoke about beauty. She acknowledged it, but she did not fully anchor herself in it. And so, when the global gaze fixed upon her, she herself remained quietly apart from it, never fully building her core identity around it. Before the cameras, before plans, before the red carpets, she was a young girl living in Mumbai, studying architecture, and modeling happened on the side. And then in 1994, she was titled Miss World. And that moment did more than give her a title. It decided something for her, that her face would no longer only belong to her, that now it was the face of the most beautiful woman in the world. And so many women have received this title, but with Aishwarya Rai, she was seen as the most perfect in beauty. Perfection in beauty was assigned to her. And she became the symbol of this perfection. And once the world says that about you, it never fully lets it go. Acting and Bollywood followed quite naturally. Her beauty became a reference point, a comparison, a standard. Every public appearance was being watched, every expression being photographed, every move being captured for being the most perfectly beautiful woman in the world and what that looks like. And and here's the part that most people don't often get, which is that when this kind of a beauty becomes your identity, it also becomes your responsibility. There is pressure on her to remain untouched by time, to look luminous even when she's tired, and to be composed even when she's being scrutinized. And most of us as women, we are allowed to change privately, gradually. Every decade, our bodies shift and change, and we fluctuate a lot through the decades. And we have the privilege of the privacy to change at our own pace. But for her, the gaze never really blinked at all. Then she married into the Bachchan family. And this is not any other film family. This is like a national institution. The whole country is watching this family all the time. And so she moves from being a global icon herself to moving into a structure of legacy. And now she's being watched by the gaze in a different through a different lens. She's an individual, a global beauty queen, but inside a very big legacy, a very big family structure. And now she's the daughter-in-law, the wife, the public figure inside a very powerful household. And so the expectations tremendously multiply on her. And you'll notice that in her interviews, she's there is a certain discipline in how she speaks about everything. And because now After her marriage, what she says becomes even more important than before. It altered the rhythm of her career pacing, and there were fewer projects, a little less visibility, a little less outward appearances. And when a woman at the peak of her global visibility, it changed more than her surname. It subtly altered her career rhythm. She was doing more selective projects, fewer appearances, and for a woman at the peak of her global visibility, stepping back can look like decline. But stepping back can also be a choice, and the public rarely knows the difference because in industries built on constant exposure, reduction is often interpreted as decline. But reduction can also mean reprioritization, as in her case. After her pregnancy, her body changed in very visible ways, and the public's reaction was very quick and often very unkind. And but she simply acknowledged publicly that that's just the natural turn her body took. And as a matter of fact, in saying so, she truly reasserted a truth that she had always held close, which is that the physical beauty was never the foundation of her core identity. The thing is that the world expected continuity of image after she became a mother, but she chose continuity of the self. This is not the chart of someone who is approaching beauty as something that has to be managed or preserved through constant effort. Her outlook on beauty is more about something that is given to her and she has received it rather than she being the person to be constructing beauty all the time. Most of us women, we age in mirrors, but Aishwarya Rai aged in headlines. There were moments when the media even compared her older self to her younger self, as if age is a competition that she's supposed to win. She continued appearing, doing red carpets, even bringing her daughter along to global events. And this signals that she is not keeping her private life strictly compartmentalized from her public life. She's allowing the blending of her private and public life. And it also creates a certain balance which is required of her. Bringing her daughter along to global events is a redefinition of how she chose to merge her private and work life. Aishwarya Rai's Venus is a special Venus. Of course, on the surface, it seems like it promotes just her physical beauty and the fine things of life and music and dance. And of course, it does all of those things, no doubt. But her Venus is also special because it's a very dharmic or a duty oriented Venus. It has some duty towards the self and also towards the world to be fulfilled. And so, on the surface, it might look like this is just about going to global events and beautiful dresses and the makeup and the clothing. But for her, that is part of what Venus does. But it goes to a much deeper level, and it has a level of creativity, her particular Venus, which is very deeply rooted. It is a very deeply rooted, powerful creativity. And this is also in some very important yogas, some very important planetary combinations that promote her ambition in personal life, along with in her professional life, along with that creative force. And so it also comes with a certain extremity, the Venus position itself, which might cause, which does cause some disturbance in private life. But Overall, this is still a unique kind of blessing, and this is a very important placement in her specific chart.